After you've recorded your data in a raw data table and then summarized that in a process data table, the next step is to represent your data graphically. Why do we use a graph to represent data? Because graphical representation, meaning representation in a graph, is easier to interpret than tabulated data in a table. Just at a glance, we can see the patterns that are present in the data when we look at a graph. So you take your process data table and now you've got to convert that into a graph. Your first step is to decide which type of graph is appropriate for your particular data. Is it a bar graph, a line graph, a pie graph? And the answer depends on whether your data is continuous or discontinuous, and whether your data forms part of a meaningful whole and you want to stress the part that each piece of data forms out of the whole. What do I mean? Some variables are continuous, meaning that they're part of an unbroken set of numbers. For example, age. You aren't just 17 and then suddenly 18. You might tell people, yes, yesterday you were 17, today it's your birthday, and now you're suddenly 18. But in fact, yesterday you were 17,99. You were 17 in 364 days. There are things in between 17 and 18 years old. Height is another example. It's not that people grow in steps, like, say, you 1,5 meters one day, and the next morning you wake up and you're suddenly 1,6 meters. No, you gradually change from 1,5 meters to 1,6 meters through 1,501 and 1,502 and eventually 1,55 and then 1,57, whatever. There are numbers in between 1,5 meters and 1,6 meters. Height is a continuous variable. Some variables are discontinuous, meaning they are composed of categories with nothing in between, like gender. You get male and you get female. You don't get male, 125. Sometimes we might take a continuous variable and break it up into categories so that our data is discontinuous. For example, with age. Instead of asking people exactly how old they are, like how many years and how many days and even how many minutes and seconds, we could just simply ask them how many years old they are. And that is really converting the continuous variable of age into a discontinuous data set of categories of age. We might even go further and group them, like people from 1 year old till 5 years old and from 6 years old to 10 years old, and we group them together in categories.